Bye-bye.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to an awesome Friday, September 24th, 2021. I want to make sure that I start the vibration with a real good positive so we stay in a really good space. Those that do not know the joy and privilege of wonderful Frederickstead, Freedom City, St. Croix, Virgin Islands, we're showing you a little bit of the McBean Clock Tower, a little bit of the Fort Frederick Museum. You can tell that we are accompanied by visitors in the area. And this is really a time for us to just take a deep breath, hear the ocean waves, let out that breath, because what is going to be shared and highlighted today is a very challenging theme. I'm always honored and privileged to have members of the Women's Coalition of St. Croix to make sure that they are here with us, celebrating, honoring life, at the same time that we recognize the anguish, the anxiety, the stress, that's energy of sorrow for those in our community that have experienced loss, that have experienced death at hands of violence. And with that, I want to open up first and foremost, just because of technology being as comfortable as it has been here, we have the executive director of the Women's Coalition of St. Croix, one of our illustrious leaders and Sister Queen grandmothers, Clemma Lewis. Sister Queen, please give us your welcoming commentary, and then we will introduce Sister Queen Shalene Gums.
Good afternoon, Queen Mother, Grandmother, Chinzira Sister. I just want to say thank you so much for hosting us through all our technical difficulties, but life is as it is. We have to go with what it is. But thank you so much for giving us this time, opening up your program, and most importantly, thank you for being our opening and closing speaker tomorrow at our event.
Honored to do so, always honored to do so. There's so much that is going to be shared about the national observances. So I'm going to ask Sister Queen Mother, Sister Queen Grandma, get myself corrected. Shalene Gums to also share. I just want to read your shirt for those that may not get to see it. Be yourself, know yourself, love yourself. And there's a hashtag, just so you know. Sister Queen, Mother, Sister Gums, please share some reflections and give our listening viewers, as well as those that are just able to hear us on audio, a little more detail about the significance of September 25th every year.
I'm grateful. I must say, I'm grateful, Sister Queen, grandmother, mother, activist, and power that you have been present. But I thank you so much, first of all, for where you're at. Coming up to tomorrow, it's always hard in this office. It's hard for me because Clemma and I have been doing this together for a long time, and it's always difficult for me, and she can tell you. It gets me in a really, really grumpy mood because updating this wall is always painful. But tomorrow is National Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims for the VI, and we've been doing this for 14 years. 14 years we've been remembering on the 25th of September all the people that have been lost in our islands due to murder. And so we have made it a St. Croix walk, because St. Thomas does the same thing. On our wall that we will not be showing tomorrow because there's a different presentation that will be made. The wall will be on our Facebook page though. And I'll give Clemma the honor of speaking about what will be unveiled tomorrow. But on our wall, there are 600 names. 600 names. 41 people are missing still. And these are people that we're aware of. And so you being next to the ocean and with the blue skies, it does give a sense of calm and a sense of peace, something that we all need when we are going through grief and loss, and recognizing that it's not just when it's personal, but we grieve when we lose in our community. And so thank you for choosing that spot for today. I appreciate it much, much.
I needed to be in a space like this to even have this type of an interview, discourse, versation in general. There's so much loss that we've been experiencing. And as I was sharing with a colleague very recently, I find that we spend more time in mourning and in spaces of grief and in spaces of sorrow, that the few times we might have a little tiny celebratory piece, we don't even know how to behave.
True. True.
We really don't. And it's important that what will take place tomorrow, as the Women's Coalition of St. Croix has firmly, and I want to make sure that those that are listening, those that are hearing this, get this point. The Women's Coalition of St. Croix, in addition to this celebration of 40 years of providing nonstop 366 day on leap year, 24 hours, 7 day a week, persistent communication support services, in addition to these observances, like September 25th, that in of itself, the rounds of applause are never, ever ending. And we say that from a place of heart, from a place of soul, from a place of spirit. And it's very, very critical and very, very important that those that are listening, those that are in earshot of any of this broadcast, any element of this broadcast, whether you're viewing us live here on YouTube, whether you're viewing us on the connections that are being made on Facebook, as well as within the Women's Coalition's networks, which are quite extensive, and I'm sure it'll be on Twitter and Instagram in a few moments. We encourage you to show that area of support. So make sure, if you don't know what you're doing tomorrow, if for those that are on St. Croix, those that are going to be tuning in to this vibration, offer your prayers, offer your strength, offer your tears, offer your soul and spirit to this reflection of times with our families right here on St. Croix, right here in our Virgin Islands, to give honor and recognition to those lives lost. Many times we remember, because like we can sit here and talk about all the people, Sandra Bland, we remember all these people that, George Floyd, we remember these names, but we have our own, and it's not a cool list, but 600 names?
600 names.
600
25
names?
for this year so far. And that's just St. Croix.
So we need that energy to be uplifting. That's why we're by the sea. And just asking anyone that's listening, anyone that's hearing, to really be a part of that journey, to be a part of that engagement, to be a part of that sharing, because there's so much information that we can offer one another just by being present and just by giving your heart space and those moments of reflection. And it may be a shoulder that you need to offer, or maybe you're the one that needs the shoulder to rest your head on. Or maybe, even though people aren't into hugging because of all of the limitations, but at least be there and hold sacred space for these families. And especially for those that are still missing without any form of closure. These are things that are really, really critical. And I want to make sure that I highlight that first and foremost, because sometimes when we're having these types of discourses, we don't get a chance to do so. Sister Queen, Grandmother Clemma, could you share with us the importance of the messages that are going to be offered tomorrow and just the event in general?
Sure. Thank you. Tomorrow is really, really important. Tomorrow, as Shalene said earlier, is the National Day of Remembrance for murder victims. And this day is being recognized all over the country, everywhere, not just in St. Croix, but all over the country, because we recognize that when our loved ones pass, we hold on to those memories, we hold on to those feelings, and they don't necessarily, our feelings and emotions don't necessarily need to die when our loved ones die. So one of the things we've created is this remembrance every year so that people will at least have an opportunity, at least once a year, if not all year, to remember the people that died that mean a lot to them, whether it's a cousin, a brother, a sister, a friend, or whoever that touched their life, a coworker. And so what we do on this National Day is we hold homage, we do support. There's a lot of spiritualism around it. We do activities around memories so that we can keep the memories of the loved one alive. And by that we have a speaker that will come up and speak about the National Day of Remembrance. We'll just do a general conversation. We'll be giving out these beautiful inspiration rocks that we created. That's really cool now. And with that, you'll be able to take one of that. You can pick the piece of inspiration that's closest to your heart. We prepare hearts, and then people can write the name of their loved ones on the hearts, and they can hold them up during the ceremony. We will be doing something different this time that we've never done before. But I think what's important to talk about is Miss Amestica came to me, Ida Amestica, months ago, and wanted to do something in the community around a quilt that she created. She had went to an event in the States, I guess sometime last year, and it was around a quilt of murdered victims, DV victims, different victims, and it really touched her spirit. And she was like, we can do that at St. Croix. And when she was talking about it, somebody reminded her that the Women's Coalition has been doing it every year for the last 14 years, but we do it in different ways. Last year, because the coronavirus was so high, we stuck to Facebook and we did an ad in the newspaper. But years before that, we normally have a program with a ceremony, and we do different activities to help the family move toward healing. So in this event this year, the healing will be a quilt that we're all excited about. Miss Amestica and her family is creating a quilt with the names of all the loved ones on St. Croix who have passed. She will be unveiling this quilt. We will bless the quilt. People will get the opportunity to see their names of their loved ones up there during the ceremony. And once the ceremony and the activity is over, we will bring the quilt. She's donating the quilt to the Women's Coalition, and it will be up on the wall in our new building so that people will be able to see it all year round anytime they want to see it. Once the building is open, we're creating a new space, and it's going to go up in the new space. However, this year is a little different than all our other national days because we have to follow. I think people heard me on the radio the other day talking about we had to get health approval. So we picked a place that we thought would be pretty safe, which is the Agriculture Fairgrounds tomorrow. So tomorrow is from 4 to 6, and we're starting on time. We start on time. We're starting at exactly 4. And it should be over before 6, but we want to give ourselves that time. We start on time, and then you have to wear a mask, but we will have masks available. Matter of fact, we're hoping to have red and black masks, but we will have masks available. We will be doing hand sanitizing, temperature reading, and contact tracing because we were allowed to have this event with the promise that we will keep to strict health restrictions. So we are following the coronavirus COVID-19 rules for the Department of Health while we doing this event tomorrow. So we're going to be there in spirit and love and memories, but we also going to do it in a healthy way. Some people might not feel comfortable coming out. The limit is 50. We're not going over 50. Once we get to 50, we will not be letting people in again because we want to respect people's safety and make sure we have enough space. So for those that do not comfortable with coming out, for those that still want to do it, we will be filming this. It'll be on our YouTube. It'll be on our page, so you'll be able to see it later. And if you want to do it from home, or if you want to get family members together, you can actually get together from 4 to 6 in your home the same time we doing, and memorize and memorialize the one that you love the most. You can take that time on September the 25th, tomorrow, from 4 to 6, to talk about it, whether it's laughing or you crying or you just talking about memories and how much that person meant to you. Take that 2 hours tomorrow. Even if you're not in our presence, you can do it wherever you are, and I think that's important to add. Thank you. Forgive me, Tam. I'm sure I left something out that Shalene will add on as well.
Exactly. Go right ahead, Sister Jane. Essentially, what I wanted to make sure that
She didn't leave.
Go right ahead. Please go ahead.
No, I was saying that she didn't leave anything out. She said everything that should happen, and I think that, because of the COVID restrictions, what she said is absolutely the best idea ever. If you can get together as a family, because you can get together as a family, and just remember the great memories, the goodness of the person that you lost. I think that would be an amazing thing as well. And then let us know.
And I think that that's the part that we wanted to highlight for this particular broadcast, was to make sure that everybody was comfortable enough knowing that there is a opportunity on September 25th this year and every year to be able to show that recognition, give that voice, that strength to the families, literally the families that have been traumatized, and to be able to offer prayers, positive memories, energy of strength, vibrational healing, and to be able to help them, because by helping one another, it's keeping our community stronger. I'm really grateful that you were able to share some of the things, because I was getting ready to read the press conference statement, but now I don't have to.
But let me add some that I forgot that's critical for people that come, for families that come. We have a section on the program that we call open mic. So there will be family members too. Miss Amestica and her sister-in-law will be doing a poem in memory of their loved ones, but the mic will also be open. So if someone wants to come and talk about the loved one, or want to say something, want to say a poem, say something in the memory, we do have open mic time, and so they're welcome to come up and speak to that. I want to make that clear. It is an open mic, and they will have an opportunity. So it's not just us up there speaking. It's really about them. So we don't have a lot of officials and a lot of people speaking, because it's really about the families. So the families do have an opportunity to speak out as well.
Excellent. And that's important for persons to know, because sometimes when these events happen, people should know, when the Women's Coalition of St. Croix hosts activities, it's going to be the people speaking and the people's voice, and it's going to be very diverse and interdisciplinary, just for those that may not recall that. And it's very little of the contemporary pomp and circumstance of just hearing the persons that speak because of their elected or appointed or selected positions. It's always going to be about the families, and it's always about the families, the women, the men, the children first. So for those persons that may not have forgotten that, I think it was really interesting also that when you were talking about what Ms. Almestica Franco has made possible, that speaks volumes just in terms of us having authentic, sacred, spiritual art spaces where people can be able to see that quilt, see their family name, their family member's name held in high regard, so that we don't forget. Because every light that is taken affects every single one of us. It may not be our son or our daughter or our husband or our wife, but it's someone's brother or son or sister or daughter or husband or wife or grandmother or grandfather or auntie or uncle. And it's important that we show that kind of support and love for one another. Like that's the part that always remains very supreme for me when I look at what is done nationally. It's always extending that love and giving strength, healing strength at a very challenging time, because it's very hard to heal when you're not clear. You know, when you talk about murder, homicide, it's just you're not clear. You know what could I have done? Maybe they couldn't have been there. What and so we want to take that energy to a very high place. And I know that whatever is going to be shared from me based on what has been asked of me by the Women's Coalition is going to come from that same space of heart and love and compassionate care and understanding, not just understanding, but understanding, so that we can actually embrace one another, even if it's at a distance. We're going to be able to show that love and still be safe and show that compassion and still be mindful of everyone staying as well as is possible. I think it's interesting also that it's important for persons to know that when we talk of spirituality and so forth in sacred space, it's non-denominational. And persons that may not
That's
know
right.
me, just make sure you understand. You can say hallelujah, hallelujah, praise be, Rastafari, all the
That's
names,
right.
Jehovah Elohim, all the names, because we're asking for all of that sacred presence to help us to keep ourselves up, because there will be tears shed.
Right.
And
That's right. It will be. And we will have tissue paper for your tears. We will have tissue paper for your tears. You'll have people that'll support you. You will have tissues. You will have hand sanitizers. You will have masks. We will have water for those that get dehydrated. And we will have little snacks if you need something to put in your system. But we're trying to cover everything we need to cover for those 2 hours to make you comfortable and safe while you come and honor, remember the person you love. But we also need to ask you to do your part, and that's to come being safe, wearing your mask. Again, we're going to have masks, so whether you come without a mask or not, we'll have masks, and we will give you our masks because we're giving out special masks as well. We're going to have masks, and we're going to have what you need, but you also need to help us. That means when you come in, you need to give the front desk your information and kind of abide by how you get through the gate. And then we need you to do that social distancing while we're there, and nobody going to be up on each other unless they family members that come together. We will be doing space, and we will try to do it as respectful. We're going to try to honor tomorrow, but we want to do it as safe and health as possible. And we asking the community to work with us because this is the first time we're doing this with all the health safety precautions, and we need you to work with us on this. That's what we're asking from our heart, spirit, and soul. We need you to work with us.
Excellent. Were there any?
That's important.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Executive Director Clemma Lewis, who I affectionately will always continue to refer to as Sister Queen Grandmother Clemma. Just in case y'all realize I add vocabulary, it's the power of self-determination, right? And to my beloved Queen Mother, Shalene, do you have some other reflections you'd like us to bring forward before we close out?
Just to one of the reasons why National Day of Remembrance is important to me, not only because I've lost quite a number of people on the list, but and personally as well. But we do it because we want the community to remember that there's a compound effect. We have 600 people on the wall. Each person has a family, and in terms of if you just look at basic family, for every one person that dies, there's anywhere from 10 to 75 to 150 people that are affected in our community. If you multiply that number by 600, our entire community is affected. And so we want our community to remember that we're all affected. It may not just be a person that's personal to us, but because that person has a mother, a father, a grandmother, a grandfather on both sides. So that's already 4 people. And then they may have siblings. If we say a brother and a sister, that's another 2 people. That's 8 people. They have aunts and uncles. If they have one of each, that's 10 people, you know, and then they have children. And then that would be 14. And then if they're a young person, like we've been losing a lot of young people, they go to school. The entire class is affected. Our community is affected every time one person gets killed. Our entire community is affected every one time somebody gets killed. And so what we really want the community to do is remember and to understand that we know, because we're also affected by the fact that our community is bleeding out. We're bleeding out. And so we need to heal each other. And together we are stronger. And together we can stop the violence. And we want to be able to come back and do that.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm going to share what was there was several statements that were in the press release, that some of which you've already mentioned, but just to reiterate for those persons that did not get a chance to read that. I felt it was really powerful. Our communities continues to be affected by the violence, ending the lives of our loved ones. And that was a comment from E.D. Clemmer Lewis. I think it's important that persons think about that and reflect on that. It touched our hearts when Aida Almestica Franco contacted us about doing something special to honor the victims and their families, unquote. And that was just dealing with her sharing her creative talents and developing what will be a historic and culturally sensitive and quite appropriate sacred art piece. Again, something that is worthy of viewing, yes, reflection, yes, but this is really significant historically in that it's happening here on II St. Croix and going to be housed at the Women's Coalition of St. Croix is magnificent beyond measure. And there are no words in any language. And definitely want to extend thanks to Ms. Almestica Franco for just thinking of creating something like that and offering that up for our community. That is impressive, amazing. We're very grateful. I want to also quote what was shared by crisis counselor, our beloved Sister Queen Shalene Gums. Aida talked with Clemmer and I about the quilt and what it will mean for the families in our communities, all of us who are affected by these deaths. We felt that unveiling the quilt on the Day of Remembrance would have a special impact as we honor the memories of murder victims. Again, I'm hoping that what is being shared and read is getting to the heart, soul, core of our ethos when we talk about how important September 25th is. The other piece that was quoted here comes from the communications coordinator, Sister Queen Deborah Benjamin, and I quote, "We have to work together. No one is unaffected by the violence that has plagued our community. It is up to all of us to take part in creating solutions and to offer support to the surviving loved ones of the people whose lives have been taken through violence," unquote. The fact that September 25th, 2021 is the 14th anniversary of the National Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims, and this is a designation by US Congress, just so persons don't think this is just something that happens with, women's coalitions and family crisis centers around the country. This was definitely motivated by the works of organizations like the Women's Coalition of St. Croix and others in the nation. But the fact that US Congress, in its infinite wisdom, designated September 25th as a National Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims, that speaks volumes on the importance of this day. The same way that we would get up for other holidays and observances, this is very significant. The same way we took a day off for Labor Day and West Indian Solidarity Day, tomorrow, you want to have that time of reflection, just as Sister Queen Grandmother Clemmer just asked of each and every one of us. Between 4 and 6, September 25th, yes, it's a Saturday, Eastern Standard Time, for those of you that are watching from elsewhere. Wherever you are, be in that space of reflection and prayer, meditation, positive words, sound, power, and strength with our families, with those that we love, some that you may not ever know. But just know that any homicide in this community affects every single one of us.
Amen to that. And we have to find a way to stop that. We got to find a way to stop this killing. The National Day of Remembrance is for families to help them with the healing, but we can't keep doing that. We have to find a way as a community to stop this violence. And there's no one entity. And we have to do it as a whole. We have to decide as a community that we don't want to lose no more young people. We don't want to lose no more family members or friends or co-workers to death. We have to stop it. And so if we know who's doing it, if we know what's going on, we either need to stop them, find a way to get help, report it, but we as a community got to stand up. Everybody in this community got to stand up and say, we had enough of this. Because if we don't do it as a community, we're not going to have generations in the future. There won't be nobody left if it continues the way the violence is going, unless we put a stop to it. And we can't wait for people on the outside. We can't wait for the police to do it. We got to do it as a community. And I'm all hands on deck, whoever wants us to get together and see what we can do as a community to stop the violence, because we have to do it. No one is going to do it for us. And I think that's critical and important.
And with that, I want to make sure that persons get an idea, have a reflection to know for a matter of fact, just in case if you are not sure of what's taking place. Again, the Women's Coalition of St. Croix will be hosting and presenting the National Day of Remembrance of Murder Victims. It's a community event, 4 to 6 p.m. It's being sponsored at the U.S. Virgin Islands, correction for myself, Virgin Islands of the U.S. Department of Agriculture Fairgrounds here on the beautiful island of St. Croix and Estate Lower Love. Keep in mind that there's an attendance limitation of 50 persons. Masks are required. All COVID-19 protocols will be exercised. There will be a St. Croix remembrance, quilt unveiling, speaking out for surviving loved ones. And this particular quote by Artpus is something that stuck in my soul. So I'm grateful that you all put this on this flyer. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal. Love leaves a memory no one can steal. That's something for us to reflect on. Because again, together we are stronger. And as our sister Queen grandmother had been saying everybody's been saying it. We say stop the violence. So I'm going to shift that just a bit. Increase the peace. How about that?
Agreed.
Let's increase the peace.
Yeah, we agree.
Increase some love.
Yes.
We need this right now. We need this right now. And I am grateful for just having the opportunity. It's always a joy. So whether I get to do it through previous networks, but just being able to share a little bit of that ocean wave vibration, that solace, that calmness, that quietude, that healing energy with everyone that's viewing, listening. I want to thank the Women's Coalition of St. Croix for just being at the forefront of these and other similar observances to help our community to love more, to increase peace more, and to just work together more. And we're definitely grateful, definitely grateful. Thank you very, very much. And remember, folks, where are we going to be at 4 o'clock Saturday, September 25th, 2021, St. Croix.
Agriculture fair or in your home together.
There you go. Right. In your
Either place. At home, together, or agriculture with us from
fair.
4 to 6.
That's right. That's right. And let us show that energy, and let's make sure that we increase the peace, increase the love. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Thank you.
Clemma Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And our crisis counselor like no other, because she can roll it with the techniques the technology piece and some poetic verse and be fly at the
There
same
you
time.
go.
Speaking gums, I'm very grateful. I want to send a special shout out to the communications coordinator, Deborah Benjamin, for just working with me to be able to help you all to get this out and running, and we'll just keep pressing it. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Have a blessed afternoon.
Blessings on you.
So
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much.